it is leg pull day, which is essentially leg pull front, the front plank, and leg pull or leg pull back, the back plank. And if you are familiar with exercising, you are probably no stranger to planks, and either you love them or you hate them, perhaps somewhere in between, but a lot of people tell me that they have wrist pain when they do planks. So I'm going to give some suggestions that perhaps would help with the wrist issues. The biggest thing that I see is people don't tend to stand in their hands correctly, and if you've ever done handstand training, you know that you need to stand in these first knuckles here and then dig the fingertips in to some extent so that you can really stand in the hands, engage the forearms, and engage the rest of the arm. You also don't want to sag in the shoulder blades. So I'm pretty good at sagging in my shoulder blades as a bad example. So if you're here, then you might be sagging in the hips, but you pick it up, you're still sagging in the shoulder blades. Pick that up too. So maybe even just trying it in a cat position a couple times. Plant that first knuckle down and your fingertips down. Lift your low belly already. I like the squishy mat because I can actually dig my fingertips in and dig my first knuckle in and float the heel of my hand off the floor a little. Now you don't have to float the heel of the hand off the floor, but it's a nice practice to lift and lower, keeping the first knuckles down and just lifting that lower part, the heel of the hand. I'm going to send my legs back into my back plank, legs close together, and I'm not sagging between my shoulder blades. I'm really actively pressing. Lifting a leg, I can rock forward and back. We see this exercise again and again on the reformer, in chair work for Pilates, and of course across many different exercises. Usually you just do 3 each side for Joe Pilates purposes, and then you can do a fancy transition to the back plank or not. Now the back plank is my nemesis because I'm fighting some tightness in the hips, tightness across the chest and shoulders, and I'm still trying to keep my elbows straight without being complacent about that straight elbow position. So I could just lock my elbows out and they would look like they're kind of bent backwards, not do anything in my wrists or my hands, but that's going to end up hurting me a lot through the elbow and the wrist. So instead I'm going to tell myself, okay, you're going to suck your triceps up and really engage them as if it was kind of like what the quads do to the kneecap. Not really the same thing is happening, but I'm going to think of it the same way. Pilates has his hands facing outward. I learned mine either facing back or forward, I don't remember, but if you face your fingers towards your feet, then you might run the risk of bending your elbows, which you don't want to do. If you turn them away from you, you might be bending them the opposite direction a little too much. So really, either way, any way you do your hands, really try to use your tricep. And the next part is trying to keep your hips open here and pressing the feet down. If you find you can't do that, go into a tabletop and do the kick from here. And still I'm trying to dig my fingertips and my first knuckle in. It's so challenging here as I'm rotating my shoulder blades back toward each other as well. Okay, that's my 3 each way. That is always challenging for me. I feel like if I really had a nemesis, that would be it. Hopefully that helps you with your planks, and if you end up taking that plank to a handstand, if your handstand goal eventually is to be up against a wall or in the middle of the room without hurting your wrist, try that front plank with that first knuckle working to push down and the fingertips working to push down, and then really pushing the mat away, because you'll need all of that with straight elbows and engaged triceps in a handstand.